and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so that I may understand the things you have taught my people, the lessons you have hidden in every leaf, in every rock. I seek strength, not to be stronger than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me ever ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes, so that when life fades as a sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame.
The persons we are remembering and honoring today were our neighbors, our friends, our dearly loved family members. They were givers or sources of love and nurture, guidance, wisdom, and happiness. The light and warmth of their presence enriched our lives. We find great comfort in knowing that, as we remember them and the time spent with them, they continue to give us those gifts and blessings. As I read the name of each person we are remembering today, a family member, friend, or staff member is invited to come up and pick up a flower in tribute to that person. We also invite you, as you choose, to share with us a characteristic or special memory of that person who was dear to you. The sharing of these special memories helps us all to heal from the loss of these significant people in our lives. The first person is Donald Hester of the Terraces and the Health Center.
Would you like to pick up the flowers?
Can I say something
Yeah,
about
please.
Don? I got to know Don pretty well when he was over at the terraces. Even when he moved to the health center, he still came back for current events almost every day. Don was really passionate about current events and politics. He was an economist by trade, so he could explain to all of us the things that were happening in the economy. I especially liked when he would come to current events. I would print up the news articles during lunch, and then by 4 o'clock he would come and say, "I see you haven't read the news for 3 or 4 hours." But he was a wonderful man. He had a great sense of humor. He was a good husband, good father, and good grandfather. So we miss him.
He participated in the Saturday social when he could, always had a bright eye and a quick joke. We thoroughly enjoyed him.
Seymour Abramson of the Health Center.
Seymour Abramson was a giant of a man, not physically. He was a giant in the field of science, particularly genetics, and he was a giant in his capacity to open his heart to all people. He loved being with people of different cultures, especially treasuring the significant period of time he spent doing research and traveling and studying in Japan. He was insufferable anytime he met somebody who might speak Japanese because he couldn't stop. He loved to use language to enjoy people. But the biggest part of this big man was his heart and his love for people, his intellect, of course, and his love especially for his beloved wife, Shirley Abramson, who until recently was our Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and still remains on the Supreme Court. Together, they were some power couple. They were giants. Of course, Shirley remains a giant in her field, and Seymour's reputation remains high. But they didn't stop with at that. Their love of family had that big, giant hug around them. They had one son, and that is where his gigantic sense of humor came in. His son, whose name is Daniel Nathan Abramson, Seymour was very proud of that because if you notice, he's a geneticist, and Daniel Nathan Abramson's initials are DNA, which was a major production in Seymour's field of research. And he always swore that if he had a daughter, she would be Rebecca Nancy Abramson, RNA. They didn't get that far. He was an adoring grandfather who read and played with his grandson lovingly, and whose grandson was a very talented young musician, played at his memorial service. Seymour's legacy to us will be used by science and all of us, and his love will continue to reverberate through the world.
Lynn Phelps of the Heights since 2008.
Thank you for coming. This is very difficult, but I know most of you knew Lynn and knew what he gave us. And thank him also. So I just want you to know that my kids and I just think you're all wonderful for what you did for us. Thank you.
For 4 years, once a month, Lynn would do the music for our sing-along. Our group would come to their apartment, we would rehearse. Lynn did all the work of choosing the music and getting all the piano music, but often he could play it without any music because he had this marvelous talent of playing by ear. And he played for Rotary Club, and he did so much for Capitol Lakes. He'd been president, and he just was a doctor who gave and gave and gave, and we all miss him.
I was always a night person because that's when I like to do my artwork. And Lynn put me to sleep. He held a hypnosis class, self-hypnosis, because I had trouble falling asleep on these hours, getting to bed before 10. I was used to getting to bed at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So Lynn held this hypnosis class for all the people that wanted to come. And he taught us how to relax from the top of our head all the way down. He talked our body to relax all the way down to our feet. And then we would walk into an elevator that kept going down and down. Most of the people fell asleep in the class, but I really needed the help because I had insomnia pretty bad. And I thank Lynn for helping me know how to sleep.
I got to know Lynn through the self-hypnosis class, but also, but also because I served on the Emergency Preparedness Committee with him, and he was amazing because he wouldn't just serve on a committee, then he offered to do even more. I'll take charge of this and that. So he was really quite an amazing person, and giving up until the end practically.
I guess you all know that he headed up the 4-piano crowd that plays together. He's the one that started us off, and he's the one that kept the beat the best when we played.
I second that.
Thanks.
Helene Enderlin of the Health Center.
Well, for a while, Helene was the oldest resident in our community. On Halloween, she would have 104 years. So she missed her 104th birthday. She's a good friend. She lived on 3rd floor of Capitol Lakes Health Center. She is originally from Illinois. Lived in Oshkosh with her husband, and then his family moved, came to Madison. She was a housewife, but she loved to travel. And her and her husband traveled mostly through Europe, and she had many stories about it. She kept her prayer life up to almost the last days of her life, and was very devoted Catholic, and I was fortunate to get to know her well and spend meaningful time with her, and I really miss and remember Helene.
Kathleen Ann Marshall of Main Gate.
I got to know Kathleen and her husband, John, almost immediately when they came in. Being on the Welcome Committee, I served as their mentor, and they lived right next door to me. And she was just an amazing person to me because I knew she had shared her history with me, her health and the problems that she was facing and the treatment that she was undergoing. And yet at the same time, her husband, who is still severely, ill, she took care of him until, a long time, until he had to go to the terraces. And when I saw her finally one day, and I said, "You don't look very well," she says, "I don't feel very well." And she shared with me that the doctor had told her it was over. They couldn't do no more. And it was amazing how, and I said, "Can I visit you?" Because she told me she was going to hospice, but she was only there 3 days before, and so that was just such a blow to me. So I never did get to see her after that.
Kathy lived between Florence and my apartment. She was 106, 105, 107. So I would see her, and she was just remarkable. She knew that she was going to die within 3 months, and she methodically arranged everything with her family. And she had great pain, and finally she made sure that her husband, John, was settled in the terraces, and everything was taken care of. And she lived at the hospice for several weeks, and John was able to go visit her every day because their son would take him. And on our scoop, the last page of last month had a beautiful article about Kathy and how they had done so many things. And when they came back to Madison, she took a class in interior decorating. And you could really tell by the clothes she wore and how lovely her apartment was. And she said her best friends in Madison were people who had been her customers.
Irv Handelsman of Main Gate and the Terraces.
Yes, Irv and I met actually when Main Gate. Can you hear me? When Main Gate was first built through a mutual friend, and well, we realized we both had similar experience. We had both, Irv's wife was ill for a very long time, and so was my husband. And so we were caregivers for a very, very long time, and it was quite difficult for the both of us. And we discovered that we were on the same wavelength, I guess you could call it. We were interested in almost many things that were very similar to both of us anyway. But we also did some traveling while we knew each other, which was wonderful. We had wonderful travel experience. We went to the Galapagos, a high point, when Irv was able to take these wonderful photographs of animals. And many years ago, he gave an exhibition here of his photographs of that and Russia, too. So he called it, what do you call it, evolution and revolution. So it worked out very well. And as a result, I'm a musician and I write music occasionally. And I was so inspired by his photographs and so forth, I wrote a two-piano piece about the Galapagos too. So actually, it was very stimulating to me to see this exhibition. Irv was a very caring person. He made sure his family were very well educated. He has 3 daughters. They don't live here. One lives in New Hampshire, and one actually, and he never told anyone because he didn't want to. One was actually working with Obama, will be through. She was a science and technology advisor to Obama. But he never bragged about it. He never wanted to say and talked about his children like that. But they were really very highly educated and very, very intelligent. And he has 2 grandchildren that are also very good. But what I want to say is that he was a very caring person because he wanted these children to be as educated as possible. That was very important, including his wife, who was very ill. She was a very bright woman, and he made sure she got her degree too. So and of course he chose a profession of helping people. He was a psychoanalyst in the East Coast, and for I think maybe as many as 50 years, I'm not sure, but I think it was almost 50 years. But he was also a very private person. And he felt, well, I'm not very sociable, but I said, Irv, you can speak to a stranger and talk to a stranger like I can never do, and bring that person out. And he was always like that. He could do that, which I always thought was remarkable. So it was a wonderful 12 years that I had with him. We did a lot of things together. And I'm going to miss him a lot.
About Irv, I don't know. Can't remember how it came about. But when I first moved here, meeting people in the atrium or in the front, and I happened to bump into Irv. We're talking, and I said, I said, by your name, you're Jewish? He said, yes. And I said a couple of Jewish words to him, and he sort of perked up. He says, so we started a little bit back and forth talking in Yiddish. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's a psychoanalyst who can speak Yiddish. Wow. So, I mean, the thing is, every time I bump into him sort of here, we'd say a few words to each other in Yiddish and go on our way.
Irv was a brilliant Freudian psychoanalyst, not just any kind of psychoanalyst, but a Freudian. He was very proud of that. He had a very special aura about him, and he had a very special family, and the people he chose, I always thought, were special. We were lucky to be his friend. I was fortunate enough to know both Irv and his late wife, and Royce and her late husband, and to know the brilliance of all of them and the creativity of their force. It was certainly a blessing to me to get to know these amazing people. But I think the most touching moment I had was my last visit to Irv in the terraces, where he was feeling weak, and I had come to visit, but he really just needed to be alone with Royce. And as I looked in the door, there was Royce sitting lovingly at his side. I left a little gift and respectfully left, but I felt the presence of the warmth and loving that was in that room, from Royce to Irv, but also from Irv to Royce. And it reminds me again of the saying that a present is a presence. And that's what they were for each other and for all of us who got to know them. Their presence is a present.
Louise Lou Crook, Main Gate.
Lou and Jack were the first couple that I met when I moved into Main Gate. My daughter, Dr. Laurel Rabson, was their doctor, And we had many friendly talks about how skillful she was and how much they liked her. And we would meet in the premiere room and read the paper and talk. And I guess Jack couldn't come today, but she did live long enough to have a big family party. I think it was in July. She knew that she was out of remission, and somehow she managed to hang on until that party, and all the grandchildren and children were there, and it was a blessing that she had that memory.
Lou had a special niche in our spiritual life of our community. Her interest was Unitarian Universalist gathering, and so she would be in charge for their meeting and organizing all of that. Became more interested lately in meditation, but what I really remember most about Lou, she was like on our spiritual, our sacred site journeys, regular visitor and sojourner to interesting places that we visited. She would come bring with her many questions to our hosts and to me too, and I always enjoyed seeing her on a van and sharing that trip, those trips with her. So I remember Lou, and I miss her.
Carol Schnaring of the Health Center.
Carol was my mom, and she was only here for about 4 months. She was a very independent and active woman. She was 92, but on Memorial Day she had a stroke and lost the use of her left side, so she was basically bedridden or wheelchair-ridden. And so she came here, and we're very grateful for the care she had. She had wonderful care. She was well taken care of, and they were very welcoming when we would come to visit. And when she passed away, they let us come. My sisters and I came, and we just stayed with her during the night, and my one sister stayed overnight. And we're just very thankful for the experience that she had here.
Also remember Carol's love for music. She really loved to sing. She would be regular for our Sunday worship services and knew all the hymns by heart. We usually have some sheets, but now she would say, "No, I know," and she wouldn't really sing it. But lately we've been doing this drumming circle on Wednesdays, and to last week almost, she would come and she would take her little drum and really enjoy that rhythm and share the energy of life that she had to the last few weeks of her life. And that's how I want to remember Carol.
Barbara Perkins of the Terraces. Barbara was one of my residents. I think, to me, the most amazing thing about Barbara was she was a very tiny, unassuming woman. She didn't talk very much because she couldn't hear. She had gone deaf in the last 10 years of her life. But she didn't let that slow her down. When she moved to the Terraces, she started writing on a whiteboard. She learned different hand signals so she could participate in exercise class. And she had even started learning sign language. So I think even though she wasn't an over-the-top personality, she was a very strong woman. She didn't let going deaf stop her at all, and I think that was really amazing.
She participated in our social hour on Saturday, brought her pen or chalk and her pad, and we did enjoy her very much, and she enjoyed being there.
She did. Shirley Dodson of Main Gate.
So I'm Martha Dodson. I'm Shirley's oldest child. We lost my mom on October 25th after battling pneumonia for 3 weeks. We're heartbroken to lose her, but we're glad she's not suffering anymore. My mom moved into Capitol Lakes on a cold and snowy day in early January, but I would say that the welcome here was very warm, and we were so appreciative of that. Some of you may not have known my mom because for several years she spent most of her days going over to the health center to visit my dad, who died last year. His name was Vernon. He had dementia, and before they moved here, she was his primary caregiver, and so she was home most of the time. But once she moved here, she had a door open to her to be able to socialize with people and come to some of the concerts. And she was so grateful that, and we are so grateful that she had neighbors who became friends and such caring staff here. We really appreciated what Capitol Lakes had to offer. And we think it's such a special place, and we're just so grateful that our parents both had a chance to spend their last years here.
Hi, my name is John. I'm one of Shirley's kids. They actually had 5. I have 4 sisters. My sister Liz is with us as well. I really want to talk for a moment about heroes because our parents were both our heroes. And they were fortunate enough to come here where they had a very good and strong sense of community. And it was a safe place for them, and we really appreciated that. But the other heroes I want to talk about are the staff at Capitol Lakes, whether it be the housekeeping, the maintenance, the people at the front desk, the staff at the health center, her physical therapy. Nothing short of exceptional care. And then there was the spiritual support we got from Guta. It made us feel good about where they were, and they were happy to be here. And for those of you in this room that welcome them, we really thank you for including them in your community. Thank you.
I met Shirley before she moved into Capitol Lakes. I met her when she was visiting her husband, who was both blind and deaf by the time I moved here. And she would visit him once or twice a day, and they had a way of communicating. When Shirley moved in, we got to know each other. She was in Main Gate. And after Vernon died, she decided to move to another facility. And I kept seeing her because she was in the hospital, the health center, many times in and out. And she lived in room 300 on the 3rd floor. And I go by there and I think of both of them. And one other thing, Vernon was one of my daughter's tutors when she was doing her residency in internal medicine at the university. And she had great things to say about Vernon. I will miss her.
I lived below her in 201, and in the summer I had to watch when the flowers were being watered because it would drip down.
I met Shirley at the most of the time when she moved here and to be with her husband at the Sunday church services. It used to be in the evenings we had those services, and Liz would come and bring the dog, Vernon's dog, and family would be there. And time has changed, and then Shirley came for a while to be by herself in the health center, but she, all the time, she kept her faith very strong. She felt also her heritage Irish songs she liked to sing, and Vern was a great singer, and she missed that. But she kept that spirit alive, and to the last days that I have seen her. So I remember Shirley and miss her. Thank you, John. We'll hear now solo by Francis Carp.
The mourner's prayer is a prayer of affirmation of one's faith, recognizing a time of sadness, loss, and memories, and mourning while also realizing that life goes on. The prayer dates back to the Middle Ages and is written in the vernacular of the Jewish people in Palestine. Yit Gadal V'yit Gadas Shmei Rabbah V'alma Divrach Yeruteh V'yamlech Malchuteh V'chayachon V'yomachon V'chayeh Dekol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala V'vazman Koriv V'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Ol Mei Omaya Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yipa'ar V'yiromam V'yit Naseh V'yisadar V'yishaleh v'yishalal shmei edgucha b'richu le'elam min kol b'chatat v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata ta'amiram v'ya'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. O say shalom v'mromav hu yaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
As in your program, you'll notice that we are the Threshold Singers of Madison. We are part of an organization that is worldwide, and we sing at the bedside of people who are very ill or in hospice or really at the brink of their death. And it's our honor to give that gift. And we do practice here at Capitol Lakes, and we so love to be invited for the memorial services here. They are inspiring, to me anyway. I would like to invite you to take a card if you know someone who might need our services. We do not just show up. We only go if we're invited. We do appreciate being invited to come to the bedside. And we would like to have you join us in our song, In the End, if you take a look at your program. And first we're going to sing with you about maybe 3 or 4 times. We'll sing all the words through. Some of you have it memorized already, as it's a tradition. And others, just join in when you're ready. And after we sing it together, we'll stop and just our group up here will sing it as a round. Thank you.
How well
before we hear from Jean and Mary, the end with a postlude, I want to offer a reminder to all of us that our life is short and precious, and that we do not have too much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us. So be swift to love, and may haste to be kind, and may the blessing of the one who made us, loves us, and journeys with us be upon us and our loved ones forevermore. Amen. Well, let's hear Jean and Mary. Thank you all for coming and participating in this service. There are refreshments there. And also, we have this service online. There's a Capital Lakes YouTube channel, and you can share with friends or family that was not able to come here, and just go to Service of Remembrance and hear and watch the service. Thank you all for coming.